Well, hello again. You're watching Brian Northmore Photography. It's my mission to inspire the photographic community by passing on my knowledge, passion and skills. I'm a photographic judge, lecturer, educator and workshop leader based in the United Kingdom. You can subscribe anytime. Hit the button or watermark and don't forget the bell icon for those important updates. And please don't forget to comment. But most of all, enjoy the video. So, hello. Here we are again, back in the office. I'm going to do a slightly different sort of style tonight to the images and to... Sorry, start again. Tonight I'm going to do a slightly different style of presentation. I'm not going to stand up at the wall. I'm not going to get the chalk out, the blackboard and PowerPoint and everything else and turn it all up for you. It's going to be an informal chat. We're going to talk about one image. And this is going to probably start a new sort of made playlist on my YouTube videos, and it's going to be really just talking about some significant pictures or projects that I've done, which I'd like to share with you. Ones which I've done probably before I started the YouTube channel, so it gives me a chance to go back and talk to you about some of my earlier work, and really it's some of that work which is more significant than the work that I'm sharing with you guys at the moment. And the reason for that is it captures some of the more defining moments in my photographic career and what I've done to date. So the image which I'm going to put up on the screen in a minute for you is called Derwentwater After The Thunder. And there is a story behind it. So before I tell you, I'm going to actually call the images up so you can look at it as I'm doing it. And give you a bit of background on the technical side behind the image. It's what's known as a quad tone. So we use 4 different coloured inks to create the colours and the effects in it that you can see. And I've used a bit of colour pop, sort of like hand coloured in one of the sails on the boat, just to give it a little bit of a stronger focal point. It was taken a long time ago. It was taken in the days of film and then scanned and processed in Photoshop 4. So before I say any more and completely sort of like surprise, to completely ruin you see in the picture and the explanation, let's put the picture up on the screen and then you can have a look at it with me. Okay, you're going to have to excuse the slight mess in the background of the office because basically, hang on, I've lost my tea. That's better. You're going to have to excuse the slight mess in the background because basically I sort of didn't really prepare for this as well as I could have, but like I said, I wanted to be quite informal and chatty, so here we are. So I've got the image up on the screen now, and first thing I should tell you is that it was taken in the Lake District National Park at a place called Derwentwater. Now I used to go up there on a fairly regular basis, in that I used to, yearly, and I used to camp on my own at camping and caravanning club site up there, and I used to stay on the edge of this lake. And on this particular day it was thunderstorms forecasted, but I wanted to go out anyway, so I went for a walk into up to Skiddaw and back in the fairly sort of like early morning, getting back around sort of like lunchtime. And lo and behold, a thunderstorm did come rumbling down through the lake back into Borrowdale. And we can see down here where we've got the few islands on Derwentwater, and in the background we've got what they call the Jewels of Borrowdale, Castle Crag and everything down there in the background. So it was really quite a beautiful scene to look at. But as this thunder rumbled down through, obviously there was a huge downpour of rain, and that's why it's fairly misty in the background, because it was a very hot, humid day. When the thunder stopped and the sun came back out, or started to come back out, this mist started to rise in the background, giving this lovely ethereal look to the back of it. And not unlike now drinking a cup of tea, I was fortunate enough to be back at the tent and able to put the tripod up and take a picture straight away. So at the time I was shooting on film, and I think as I mentioned just now, it was taken on a colour transparency film. And I've got to be honest, the transparency looked absolutely awful. But through processing it digitally inside Photoshop, I was able to bring a different feel to it than I wanted. So what I've basically done with this picture is I've cropped in, turned it into a letterbox shape, and also added some grain to bring out that feeling into it, and given it a process called quad tone. And then I hand coloured the sail. Now there's a reason why this picture is significant, and the reason it's significant is because I go to a local sort of camera club, and it won the landscape competition that year. And it was significant because it was put up against traditional wet darkroom produced prints. And at the time, at the mid to early sort of 90s in that area, that was kind of really unheard of. Digital was still struggling to get a foothold into camera clubs and into professional photography. It was still considered a bit gimmicky, and whether or not it would actually catch on, or whether it would be pushed to one side by professionals and they would stick with film. But what it proved to me was that actually digital was getting to the point where it was going to start competing with traditional photographic processes. And for that reason, I decided to go full digital. And at that moment in time, I started looking at moving to digital photography and giving up the darkroom and starting to develop it further, realizing the power that it had. And that's why it's significant. It changed. It's the moment when I changed from darkroom work to digital work, and that's the point at which I was able to bring the editing to the forefront, where I was able to transform what I had in my mind to what I had in the finished picture in the screen, and it made that possible. And my creativity took a serious leap, and what I could do with photography took an equally big leap, and it was the beginning of a big change for me photographically. So like I said, this was produced using something called a quad tone. So let's go inside of Photoshop now, and I'm just going to show you what a quad tone is. So I'm not going to go back through everything originally. I'm just going to bring this picture up so we can view it, fit on screen. It's okay, it's fine. And I'm going to go back through some of the layers. So this is how it was originally opened. So to get into a quad tone, you first of all change the image into a grayscale, and then you change it into something called a duotone after that. So go to grayscale first. I can open this back up, and we can go into image adjust. So image mode, dual tone, there it is. And when we open it up and look at it, what you'll see, each of these boxes here represents a different coloured ink. So the curve on it, so we can colour up different inks that we want, and then we can also bring up the curve. And the curve box will be able to decide what parts of the image we would like to have in different colours. So we could adjust the black curve, extreme, it will do that, and we can change where different colours go. We can do the same with the warmer colours as well. So we can decide whether we want it. We can exaggerate it a lot more if we wanted to. We could try and pull that in a lot more. Pull that in a little more. Look, and it's getting closer to what the original looked like. But the beautiful thing with quad tones is that they're not really reproducible, because they change each time you do. When it comes out slightly different depending on the tonal range of the picture. But that was a good way for me to work with a limited palette of colours and modify things, and it kind of allowed me to do things without worrying about using black and whites and everything. So we can sort of take this right backwards now. If we go into our history palette quickly, we can go back to the grayscale, so we can adjust it. And the other thing that I did was I just then on a separate layer I just coloured in this sail by hand, and gave it sort of light red, and did the same with the shadow just to bring out that detail. So folks, that is about all that I did on the picture. That's the story behind it, and I'm going to leave it at that. Right, so I hope you enjoyed that and found it quite interesting to sort of go back and look at one of my earlier pictures and one of the antiquated ways of processing pictures way back. Um, if you did, then please comment, let me know in the links if this is the sort of thing you'd like to see on the channel. I've got lots of other pictures I can go through and tell you the story behind them. I certainly enjoy telling them, so it's really no problem at all. Um, and of course, you know, if you did enjoy it, then please consider subscribing. Whatever you decide to do, then under the circumstances we're under the moment, please enjoy your photography, be as creative as you can wherever you are, and like I say, I'll hope to see you again soon.